Welcome to another edition of the Empower Hour. I'm Alpamar.
And I'm Hanifa.
And we are your hosts each and every Wednesday. From 2 to 3 p.m., we come to you with impactful topics of discussion that affect our everyday lives. This week will be no different. We have in the studio with us a powerful couple. Baba Imhotep and his wife Ife Fatiu. And they are both joining us here. Came all the way down from Baltimore to share with us some of their wisdom. So thank you both.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for having us.
So
Yes.
Ife, we know this is your first time
Yes.
on the Empower Hour.
Yes.
We've been trying to get you in on the Empower Hour. So finally you're here with your husband, and this has been an anticipated show.
Yes.
Because as you know, the whole relationship scene in the African community is in turmoil.
Yes.
I don't know no other way to put it. It's in turmoil.
He's struggling.
Yeah.
And Hanifa and I knew no better people to come and join us to discuss how do we fix some of these issues. So thank you again so much for joining the conversation.
welcome.
Hanifa, you wanted to.
Well, yeah. I mean, we had to get Ife on because we've had Imhotep on many times.
Oh,
we
yeah.
love Imhotep.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
veteran now.
Right.
Uh-huh.
He's like he's a co-host.
Uh-huh.
He's the third host on your show.
And we
Yes.
welcome that.
Yes,
No
so we've
doubt.
been kind of behind the scenes talking like we gotta get the both of them on.
Yes.
Around like a relationship. So we're so grateful for you guys to come and grace our platform. Thank you very much. We're humbled. Yes.
We're honored to be here.
Yes.
Thank you. How long have you guys been married?
Too long. No. It's been 14 years. March made 14 years.
14 years.
March the 16th.
Wow. And what do you guys think makes you like one of the go-to couples for like relationship advice and counsel and things of that nature? What do you could attest that to, you think?
I didn't ever think that we were actually.
Yeah.
So, how would you answer that question?
I would say because what we exemplify, you know what I'm saying, in our behavior, in our relationship with one another, how we interact with one another. People see that and they want to work towards that. They see that peace. They see that complementarity. They see how we're both working side by side. You know, one not going in this direction, the other going in that direction. And it's like that's what I want to incorporate within my relationship. That's what I want to establish. So how do I get there? I go to you. You know what I'm saying? Like anything, you wanna work in. You want to be a marketer, you want to work in business, you want to work in, you want to be a daycare provider. You go to somebody with those skills and that experience so you can get the instructions, you can get the wisdom so you know how to do it yourself. And I think that's what they see when they see us, you know. And it's not like we always been there, you know, in the very beginning.
That was one of my questions.
Yeah, I know.
I was waiting. I was like, okay, I have one question.
But we wasn't always there. But I'm gonna let him, you know, if you want to add on to the question.
No, you did well.
I do. But in the beginning, it was very rocky.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? We argued a lot. And it wasn't him. I take a lot of that. I take ownership for that because of where I was.
It's always us.
You know, right. And I brought out another side within him because him and I both, when we met, we didn't use profanity. Him and I both, we was on a certain path of self-discovery and on a path of re-Africanizing ourselves. He had much more experience and years of doing that than I did.
Okay.
You know, so I was learning my culture, and then he introduced me. You know, I was in the beginner stages, and I was like doing it aimlessly, you know, and he like introduced me like, oh, you know, read this book, read this. You ever heard of this person? You ever heard of this? And I'm like, no, you know. So he like gave me all of that. He fed that to me. But when we had our impasses, it was like that other side began to come out of me, which I feared because I sensed. You know, you just know somebody is a good person. You feel their energy. I'm like, that's a good man right here. That's not somebody I want to mess it up with. You know, so I was kind of like leery about being in a relationship. That was him pushing that relationship stuff on me. I'm like, no, we should just be business partners. You know, so eventually I got into it, and then we started having our disagreements. And it was like that ego, that side of me, like, who you think you talking to? You know what I'm saying? And then he just came home from prison, so he talked kind of strong. He got a strong personality anyway. And then I got a strong personality, you know, and then for him to just come home from behind the walls with nothing but men, I just felt like his tone sometimes was like, oh, I'm not your child, you know. So I would bring a certain tone and a certain behavior out of me. It just started to manifest itself, you know, and really show its face that I knew was there, and I feared would come out. So eventually, when we had our disagreements, you know, profanity started to come in on my end. I'm talking loud. You can say that's disrespectful, but I never disrespected him like, get the F out. You know, it was none of that. It was none of that. But it was still like, you know, the D word, you know, the S word, that type stuff when I get upset. So eventually he started to raise his voice. And I wasn't used to him talking in that tone, in that manner. And I remember one day we had a disagreement. You remember that day?
Which one?
So many, huh?
No, I'm just doing
One day we had a disagreement back on Artley, and you had got in my face. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. So he got in my face, just like, cause a part of me, and I think when you that strong type of personality woman, you know what I'm saying, and it's like, I need a strong man. If I don't have a strong man, I'm gonna walk all over him. Unintentionally, you know what I'm saying, but I'm gonna walk all over him. He gotta show me he got a backbone, and he ain't gonna take no crap. And like that day, he showed me where I was like, okay, all right, you ain't to be played with, okay, you know, because he got loud. You know, he got loud. He got in my face, and what you said? Go ahead, finish the story. what you said?
You know what you said.
What you said?
You finished the story. You rocking already. You
rocking.
You rocking. I'm tuning over there. They loving you. Already you star.
They're already shouting her out.
So
you had got in my face and you told me what you said. You said, say it again.
Yeah.
And you gonna do what?
You say it. Tell the story.
No,
I'm gonna take away from the story if I say it. You know what I'm saying?
You said you was gonna bite me in my mouth or something like that, right?
What?
Yeah, that don't even sound like a story. Surprised me too.
That don't sound like nobody.
But I ain't say nothing else in that moment. You know what I'm saying? I need to shut my mouth. You know, but it was like, he was so nice, you know, and he was just so loving and so giving and so patient. I was like, dude, like, you know, I'm used to dealing with street dudes, you know. So he showed me, like, I got that street side. You about to bring Twan out of me. You don't want to see that.
Well, that's an interesting concept, and I hope we're going to come back to that, because you know what I'm thinking. That conversation we had about why we do that, why we rile men up as women. What is that about? What's the underlying issue? But I didn't want to jump all off of the topic with that.
No,
did you have?
No, I'm going to bring it back a little bit. I just want to know how y'all met. Can we just start there? How did you guys meet? Who made the first move?
I did.
Okay. Tell us, please.
Well, like she say, I was in prison, and she had a cousin in prison, and so we became real close. So when I came home from prison, he had reached out to me and he asked me to check up on his younger cousin, which was Ife. At the time, her name was Deanna. He was like, I need you to look out for my little cousin, man. He said she's smart, she's bright, and she's trying to get involved in business. So just check in on her. But I was so busy when I first came home that I never got around to doing it. But eventually I broke my ankle. That's when I was resting in the bed one day. I said, I'm gonna make this phone call. So I called her. So March the 16th, 2005, made the phone call. And the rest is history.
Okay.
Keep going. The rest is history.
I made the phone call. We communicated. She told me she had to go to work. So I gets off the phone. But instantly I could tell. Like I wasn't crazy. I knew I wasn't crazy. But I knew inside of me, like, I feel like some energy came through this phone.
Wow, okay.
That's what I felt. Even though I never saw her. Never even knew she existed. And my intentions for calling her was about to do what her cousin asked me to do. When we communicated that one time, I just felt like something was there. So I said, I was going to make sure I was not insane. So I told my friend, I said, I'm going to call her back tonight. She get off at 9 o'clock. I'm going to call her back tonight just to make sure I'm not crazy. Make sure. And before I got a chance to call her, she called me.
Okay.
And then when I picked the phone up and she was like, man, I'll speak to Aces. My middle name is Isis. So she said, man, I'll speak to Aces. Instantly I knew that whatever I sensed, she sensed. And so when I got on that phone, we started talking, and I let her know, hey, what do you think about, you and I, in addition to business,
Wow.
we do something personal.
What?
You know, instantly I know it kind of, you know, threw her off because I'm coming off so strong like this. So she did
first
that.
day, like-
So she did her, you know, her womanly thing, and you know, she downplayed and she held me off and she pushed back, but she never stopped communicating to me. She never said, "Don't call me."
Right.
She never said that, "Hey, I think you're too aggressive. I think you've been invasive. I think you're imposing." None of those things were ever said. So we continued to communicate, and then we're 14 years in. You know, we never had a situation where as though neither of us was ever put out or stuff most people go through. Get your crap, get your junk, get out, get on the couch.
Coming out
We never
the
experienced
window.
none of that in 14 years.
Okay.
Now, Ife, you mentioned that you both have strong personalities. Definitely. Definitely.
I'm already
in
seeing
a good
it.
way.
In a good way,
In
yeah.
a definitely good way, because you both are entrepreneurs. You both are leaders in your own right. You know, you both are activists.
Yeah.
How do you balance all that strong energy between you two without one attempting to be domineering over the other?
Yeah.
We had to learn that. Like, that was a struggle. And that goes back to the beginning, that back and forthness. Because I had to learn, like, since he's the leader of the organization, when we sit in meetings, he's conducting the meetings, and he's going to address me like he's addressing everybody else. But I'm looking like, oh, wait until this meeting is over. You know what I'm saying? I got some things to say to you. You know, and I used to do that a lot, because in my head, like, you using this time and this opportunity to address me about relationship stuff.
To throw
you know what I'm
shade,
saying?
probably.
Or,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah,
or
I
we
got
just had
you.
a disagreement
Okay.
in the relationship.
Was that
and
true?
Was it true, or did you just feel that
No,
way?
okay.
I think I played the part sometimes.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I think what happens with us as the people, because I can give a lecture, and at the end of the lecture, people will tell me I'm talking to them, and I never even know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
What I do, I address our general issues.
Okay.
Our general issues are the same.
And it's so
Yeah.
common.
It's just a lot of time we don't recognize they're general, and it just so happens that sometimes, you know, it may be something that's specific that we may have been dealing with, but it's a general issue. We have these general issues that run across our community.
Yeah.
So we might have a disagreement earlier that day, and then that would come out. You know, so I had to learn from all of our battles, and he had to learn how to deal with each other's personality and when to be submissive, you know what I'm saying, and when to allow the other person to lead. So that's what we had to learn within our relationship, because we really wanted to work. He didn't want to throw in the towel. I didn't want to throw in the towel. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, we both had to do our individual work, you know, our personal work, and then that enhanced our relationship. You know, so we learned that along the way. So now we to the point where when I see he's in that leadership role, he's calling shots, you know, I know to just accept it and just let it be. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. You know, for the most part, I run things around the house. I like for his participation more sometimes, you know, and it's probably vice versa. Outside of the house, he probably like, oh, I need you to step up more and so forth. But in the house, it's like, that's what I run, you know, and it's like, no, we're not doing X, Y, Z, or we're going to get this. He let me have that, and I let him have his time, you know.
So that's the balance.
Now back up. I'm going to qualify that word, submissive.
Yes, I put it
And the reason I
down.
want to qualify the word is because many of us, we struggle with the word because we look at it from a European perspective. And when she says submissive, we're not saying it in the context that we allow someone to run over us. We're not saying be a pushover. We're more so saying submissive in the context of humility. It's saying you have to humble yourself to the other, your partner. If you don't understand how to humble yourself to your partner, then it's not going to be a partnership. It's going to destroy itself. So that's what we mean by being submissive. We're saying that each of us had to learn how to be humble to the other. I'm going to tell you one of my major initial struggles that I had to learn. See, I'm 10 years older than her.
Okay.
So when I met her 14 years ago, she was in her early 20s. And to have someone in their early 20s asserting themselves with a man that is in early 30s, it's challenging. But I had to learn how to deal with that, because at the end of the day, this is a woman, and she had a great mind, and she said things that made sense. So I had to learn how to not focus so much on the age difference and focus on the fact that we were equal in our abilities to do that which each of us needed for one another's spirit. We, in that capacity, on the spiritual realm, we equal. The only time we can find inequality is in age, but age is just subjective. So I had to get past that. So when I got past that age, that subjective thing of age, and start looking at, you know what I'm saying, the internal stuff, The internal stuff is what balances us. And the internal stuff is what matters most, what's on the inside. So it's not submissive like pushover or run over, submissive in the context that I am humble to her. So when she is saying something or feel we need to do this, that, and the other, I'm humble to the degree that I know that she got our family best interests at heart.
Right. Beautiful. If you're just joining us, this is the Empower Hour. We do this each and every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. We are in the studio with Imhotep and Ife Fatiu, and we're talking about strengthening our relationship bonds. If you have any questions and you're out there on Facebook land, shoot them out on the stream because, we can take questions for this episode.
I have one question. With all the work that you guys do with PLM, right? How do you guys keep each other fueled and keep your relationship above water, pretty much?
And before you answer that, can you briefly describe PLM real quick for those who may not be aware?
Briefly describe PLM. How can I say that? PLM is a Pan-Africanist organization that's located in Baltimore City that has a principal focus on ushering in sovereignty for African people. And one of the ways in which we feel that can be done if we build a strong, independent base within the land. If we strengthen ourselves institutionally, economically, socially, politically, to the degree that we understand who we are as African people, we can begin to organize and mobilize ourselves to replicate what we build in Baltimore and replicate it throughout the land and then replicate it internationally. Because ultimately, we got to take what we're doing in the United States of America and connect it with Africa. And that's the interest of PLM.
Thank you. And the question?
Yeah, with all the work that PLM do in Baltimore, because I see you guys online, a lot of community service involved. How do you guys keep your relationship fueled? How do you keep the fire burning? How do you stay above ground?
We pick with each other a lot.
Acting like a teasing way?
I think that's one of the things we do. She picked with me. She imitates me. She mocked me. And in a great way. So
Thank you.
And I bothers her, and I bother her in ways when she feel like she shouldn't be bothered. So we laugh.
Okay.
We find ways to laugh. I think that helps. And we also and then she stay on my back and making sure we get our quality time. Because I'm so world oriented and I'm so futuristic. I can tend to live in the future a lot. And when I live in the future a lot, I can miss what's taking place now. Not because I'm irresponsible, it's because I'm goal driven. So you need a partner. And then she'll come in and she'll remind me family time, me time, our time, and things like that. And that's when the submissive or the humility kick in because she's correct in that regard. So we try to find time to do things like that.
Okay. And I was about to add to that. He pretty much said what I was going to say. I make sure we allocate time every day. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to be, like, crazy tired to not get at least an hour in. But every day, we talking, we turn off the TV, put the children to sleep, and we have some communication. Or we'll watch one of our favorite shows. You know what I'm saying? A show that he like watching or a show I like watching, and we'll discuss it. You know what I'm saying? Or laugh through it. Or talk about, whatever's going on, the details of the show. And then we work out together at least one day out the week because that's our bonding time. I like working out. He likes working out, so we work out together. And then I make sure we get a date night in at least once a month. So I stay on him about this stuff. And then we have our family time. But we make sure we get our personal time.
So you guys are deliberate about it.
Yeah. Right. And I text him. We text each other often. He's more into texting now than he ever been. And just calling me in to check in. But that's, us women, we usually do that. Hey, what you doing? I miss you. Like we usually do that. The guy like, okay, I'll see you later. He started doing that more, where I can go through my text messages and he just text me out of nowhere. I miss you. You're doing good. You're a beautiful woman.
You're the bomb.
I can see you.
Oh.
You're the bomb.
Beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Hope y'all taking notes out there, fellas.
It's something you just said. You said, I think you used the word deliberate. And I'm glad you said that because what most people don't understand is that creation is deliberate. There's no creation that intent and purpose is not behind. And so we watch so much TV, we watch so much Hollywood that we keep saying, I want a relationship. But we don't want to be purposeful about the relationship.
That's very true.
We think it's going to fall out the sky and manufacture itself. It does not work that way. You have to be intentional and purpose about what you want to create. And you have to understand that to build the house, you got to have all the ingredients and the parts. So to build this relationship that you desire, you got to first make sure you possess the necessary ingredients to put into what you want. And then you got to make sure that other person has those ingredients as well. Because oftentimes we want something that we don't even have inside ourselves to build.
Good teaching. Good teaching. What do you say to those who may have it a lot better put together than their partner? And they're attempting to make it work. They're attempting, but it's this unequal yoke scenario going on. And they're doing all they know possible with patience and understanding and all that, but it's just not meshing. What do you say to a situation despite the love and affection they may have for this individual, it's hard to be with them? What advice would you give them?
Look at it like this right here, right? This is one analogy I could think about. Say you had two people and they wanted to go on business together, right? But one person only had $20. The other person had $80, right? But if the one with the 80 truly loved the one with the 20, and the one with the 20 was truly committed and dedicated to their partnership, they can go in there and still view it as 50-50. You understand what I'm saying now? So that's the same thing, what you're saying. So the one that kind of has it together a little bit more than the one who doesn't, if the one who doesn't have it together that much, if he or she sincerely want this thing, then they would move in the way that they have to move. And the person who have a little bit together a little bit more would be able to be tolerant and understanding, whereas they can still meet at that halfway point.
Yeah.
Oftentimes what we do is this: we magnify the deficit in the other, and we try to magnify the strengths in ourselves over that other. And it comes out in ways that it shouldn't come out. It's like if you truly want to be with this person, you got to be with that person.
True.
That's what it comes down to. It can't be, I'm a little bit further along than you, right? When we come together, we still got to see ourselves as equals. And that person, he or she, has to be ready to step it up to the plate and work and build and move him or herself to the way that they have to move and build to be solid in that situation. But if you coming in and you half put together, but you still laying around and you're still crying and complaining, and you still, you know what I'm saying, not coming home when you should come home, you know what I'm saying, you still taking your little paycheck, you making $325 a week, but every time you get paid on a Friday, you still not coming home. I don't see you until Saturday morning sometime, and then half the check is gone, and you saying, baby, you got to be patient with me. No, she shouldn't be patient with that crap, because that's some bull crap right there, you know what I'm saying? So it comes to those types of situations. But if you got somebody who just doesn't have as much as you have, but that person is sincere, because when I met Mama Ife, financially, I didn't have anything. I just lived with my mother. I have nothing at all. She had everything. She was living by herself. She was working in this society, making pretty good money. She was driving, had no children. I came with 3 children, no money, no home, no car, right? 3 children, mothers. This is what I brought to the plate, right? But what equals it out, right, it's the stuff that's on the inside of me. See, a person can never deny what's inside Baba Imhotep, right? So I know my worth, my value on the inside. So I balance the situation out. So granted, you have all of that. This is what I got right here.
See, as you're speaking, we're talking financially, but even the 80-20 scenario you just gave, it's sort of like Ife just mentioned to us. When I met him, I was just starting out on my walk. He was way ahead of me, you know. So he could have easily, he could have easily said, "No, I'm too far gone. You're way, you know, you're just starting. I can't mess with you." Even the age as well.
That's right.
Just like he said. So it's not necessarily finances alone. We do those numbers with finances, but it's more than that. Because sometimes you are coming with more than the other person. It may not be in your pocket.
Right.
Like you say, it may be here, or it may even be here.
That's right.
Yeah. But I wanted to put the question to Ife, because with what Alkema asked is an issue you see a lot of women struggle with in 2019, because women are now getting more educated, getting the big paying jobs or whatever, and you hear that a lot, like, you know, he's not really holding up his end of the table. And I like what you said. It's not about having a whole lot, but what are you doing to contribute to that relationship?
That's right.
Period. So I just wanted you to speak to that, like speak to
the
us, women.
I feel like we need to be more patient. We give up too easy. I come across too many women like I'm done. You know, he not bringing in a certain amount of money. He not helping around the house, and I'm like, did you have a conversation with him? Did y'all talk about this first? You know, and did you do it in a argumentative type of way? You know what I'm saying? Was you already fiery and upset, or did y'all actually sit and talk? And how many times did y'all have this conversation? Because if he got a habit of leaving his clothes on the floor and you just so upset you done, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to break it overnight from that one dialogue. So you got to have several conversations, and you got to be patient and wait for that. He was patient with me, I was patient with him. You know what I'm saying? And we're still patient with each other because we're still growing. You know, but you got to be patient with that person. If you really see something in that person, and a lot of times that women say, I see the potential. We fall in love with what the guy can be. You know what I'm saying? Or what he can become. You know, and that's good too. But who is he now? You know, is he demonstrating the type of behavior to actually accomplish what he can become, what he can do, what he can acquire? You know what I'm saying? So that's important too. So we fall in love with what we want him to do and what we see him to do, but he got to show that he's working towards it. And if he's showing that, then be patient with that brother. You know, don't just drop him. But don't buy them stories, you know. Be patient with me, you know. I was with the brothers and I was hanging out with my friends, and I'm coming home to you. I love you. I love my children, you know. But he keep on just vanishing at the end of the night. He ain't coming straight home from work. He ain't contributing with the bills when he have the ability to do so. Even if he can't pay the rent, he can pay some of the smaller bills. But he's not putting nothing in. Then you need to drop this guy, you know what I'm saying, because he's bringing you down, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying, she or he is bringing you down.
I heard you mention Imhotep. You guys were, I think it was you who said something about being re-Africanized. You were in the process of being re-Africanized. How important is that to your relationship currently?
I would say, in order for anyone to be highly successful within themselves, not by the standards of the world, but to be successful within yourself, where you can sleep well at night, where you can know that you have served as well, you have to know who you are in order to do that. Right? So being re-Africanized is as important to this situation as water is. Right? This relationship would not have made it this far if we were not on the process of becoming our best selves and turns our African selves. We wouldn't have got here. If I came into this relationship with the mentality of Antoine Terrain, the person I were before I became who I am, and if she would have remained Deanna Dorsey, we wouldn't be here today having this conversation. It's only because of the history and the culture that we're here. It's only because of the fact that we brought the ancestors into the relationship. It's only because that we allow spirit to move through us and be a directive in the relationship. Because what I mean by being a directive is like, as a man, you have to be able to humble yourself, and you have to be able to when you get upset and you walk away, to come back and apologize. Right? If you can't do those things, you're going to destroy the relationship, right? So those are things I was able to do, and I still do those things. But that's a directive straight from spirit, because spirit transmits to us what we should do and how we should move. And
that's true.
You have to heed that. So that's what it comes down to.
And I feel like he brought that in because that's the other entity in a relationship. It's not just that man and that woman. It's man, woman, and spirit. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times we negate that, you know, or we unaware of that. So that's important to pray together, meditate together if you can, but particularly on your own. You know, I have my own personal ritual. He have his personal ritual. And then we have our family ritual. You know what I'm saying? Where we pour libation together as a family and we pray together as a family. And going back to him running things outside the house and I'm running things in the house, I'm the one that's saying, okay, now it's time for us to pray. You know, we're not leaving out that door till we pour libation, you know, that type of thing. But it's important that we bring spirit into our relationship.
You both love African people. That's clear and evident based on your work. Is having the same vision important, you think, in a relationship? I mean, can it be done if you both are totally, let's say, for instance, you were African-centered and you were practicing to be a nun. I mean, do you think that it's still would be so healthy, the relationship?
I think to all situations, there's always those exceptions. So I think you can find some people that's not on the same page and they can still figure out how to make it.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can find many people doing that.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that the success of any relationship is contingent upon the parties involved to be on the same page. I think that now we have different tools and different skills that we tend to develop, that we utilize as we go along. But those tools and skills is not the end. The purpose of Ife and I coming together is to build power for African people. Simple as that. So now, as she's further developing and discovering herself and blossoming in different areas, and as I'm doing that, it's still geared towards the same end. Now, it becomes a problem if tomorrow I wake up and I say, you know what? This is what I want to do. I want to do something that's totally contrary to what we've already been doing. That's a problem because she's not going to want to reroute and go this way. So she's going to stand her ground. I'm going to keep saying I want to go this way. So now we get into an argument or stand up in some kind of way. It's a fracture because we got to be going in the same direction towards the same end. And this is what we're telling our children. Our children know this, right? This is what we put this inside the children. So now when you say you want to switch up the focus in a direction, you want to go one way, I'm going one way, we confuses the children. So our success has been the fact that we have been doing what we've been doing in the service of African people for ourselves.
We have a question from one of our viewers, Anani Kulu Fatu.
Yes.
She asked, what a healthy... He.
Yeah.
Anani, I'm so sorry. You are a he. Okay. Anani asked, what are healthy ways to disagree? Give some example of like healthy ways that a couple can disagree.
The healthiest way to disagree is to respect the other person's opinion, right? If the opinion, I'm gonna qualify something. All opinions should originate from some ground of fact. So you shouldn't just blurt things out from ignorance, right? And we tend to do that. We say opinions like a-holes, everybody have one, which is untrue. Opinions originate from something. So you just can't say what you want to say because you don't want to deal with things intellectually. So if the individual is putting forth a rational argument and you and her or she and you are not necessarily saying things on eye to eye, you have to be able to respect that in that moment without taking the disagreement to be an attack against you as a person.
Yeah.
So that's what we have learned how to do over here in this land. So we feel like we can't disagree because we think that the disagreement is an indication that I'm against you as a person.
Yeah.
So now we have automatically took the disagreeing person, we personalize it, so it becomes a problem. We have to learn how to disagree on the issue, which should be a principle. Disagree on principle. When we disagree on principle, we can keep moving.
Yeah, in love.
That's right.
Yeah. Did you want to add anything to that?
I agree with what he said. You just learning how to keep your tongue. It's like that's what you feel. Okay. It's like one of those types of things, and not seeing it as an attack, and then going back to feeling like you have to defend yourself against this person and against this person's feelings and beliefs. Just let them have it. You know what I'm saying? And if you feel like they are in error, what I learned, and I learned this from him. And this is from him doing it towards me. I learned to come back at it, when we both calmed down and I gave it more thought, So I come back like a day or 2 days later and then I bring the conversation back up, but not in an argumentative type of way, just having dialogue. Like, remember when you said XYZ? I think that was inaccurate. And I know you said you was right or you felt like you was right, but da-da-da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? So I bring up some other stuff and he was like, you know what? You're right. I take that. I apologize. So I let him have it, or he let me have it in that moment. If he's really stronghold on it, and vice versa, it's like, I'm gonna let him have it because there's gonna be an argument, and let him have this.
Because the purpose of the relationship is to create a whole. That's the purpose. So the idea, what I try to tell people is this: relationship is actually a prerequisite of marriage, right? So we get so caught up in the relationship is that area that we should be figuring things out with one another, going through a process to produce something else. Because the reason African people in these days and age should be coming together is to build a union.
Right.
We should be marrying one another.
Yeah.
Yes.
We should be building powerhouses, not just playing around.
Yeah.
So what we define as being the relationship is really like a prerequisite to marriage. Right? It's necessary to get to marriage. That's the stage, right? And the reason you marry is to build power. So we build power, why? So we can leverage power in an effort to bring forth sovereignty. So our coming together is never truly about us in the total sense, right? We're coming together because it's necessary to move us towards this thing called sovereignty. Because sovereignty, what? Is nationhood, right? There is no nation without community. There's no community without complementary relationships, right? It's simple as that. So we have to be able to do that. So when you disagreeing, you should be able to disagree in such a way that still allow you to work together.
When we're getting together as African people, should we be coming in or joining forces together, knowing what our intentions are and what the purpose of us coming together is? How important is that? Because once you get past the fluff of he makes me feel so good, or breathing each other air for hours, or you come off the mountaintop of I just love him so much, because that point comes the longer you're together, and then especially when you introduce kids and all of that, it gets there. So, and that's when I feel like you have to get back to the root. Like, what is the purpose of us being together in the first place? How important is it to make that clear from like the beginning stages?
Now, I'm glad you asked the question, because what it should be, like, if we speaking about our African ways of doing things, right? Every child that's born, start with the female. Every female child that's born into the African community is prepared to be a wife. So you don't wait until you're 16, 17, 18, 19, or 20 and still trying to figure that out. So you're born into this community, and you have a community of women that wrap themselves around you. And what we call it over here, we call it a rite of passage, right? But traditionally, in our traditional ways, it's just a natural way of doing things, right? It makes sense. So the female child, the girl, the young girl, is prepared to be a wife. So she get those lessons as she's growing up. So about time she get to that point where as though she's being married, she already know why she's being married. And that's the same thing with the boy. The boy know why he's being reared to be a father. Right. He's being reared to marry. He's being reared to have a wife. And once they do come together, they each already know that. We miss so many stages in this land that we have to figure things out in adulthood. And a lot of us don't want to figure it out. We just want to expedite it. And so that's the reason why we clash so much, because we're together for the wrong reasons in this society. We're coming together for the wrong reasons. We're saying I want love, right? You're wrong already. You know what I'm saying? Love has to reside within you. Love is something that you bring to the situation. You can't look for it in the situation. You bring love to the situation. But we laying around because mommy didn't hug us, daddy wasn't there, we are hurt, we are broken, right? So we thinking that we're going to find these things in the other. We say, I want this, that, and the other, right? We very rarely talk about what we're going to bring into the situation. We very rarely say, I want a man so I can do this, that, and the other for. We always say, I want a man so he can do this, that, and the other. Or, I want me a woman so she can do this, that, and the other. We don't say, well, I want a woman so I can do this, that, and the other for her. We got it backwards. We wonder why it does not work. It doesn't work because, first and foremost, we don't understand what it's all about. We don't know why we're coming together. And that's why it's not working. And then a lot of us don't have the psychological maturity to be in a relationship. And that's the truth of the matter. And I'm talking about the men right now. Most of the dudes I deal with, and that's single right now, they don't have the psychological maturity to be in a relationship.
Give me an example.
You have to be able to deal with the fact that your woman is going to demand you to be a man. Is it her nature to demand of you to be a man? She's going to push, she's going to pull, she's going to challenge that. And you have to be psychologically sound to tolerate it and deal with it.
And they're not, you're saying, a lot of them.
A lot of the ones that I come across in my past. And I'm not
so like,
and let me clarify this. And I'm not talking about just the people that's made in my immediate circle, right?
I was going to say that.
And I'm talking about in general, because I work out in the community, right? And I talk to a lot of people, right? A lot of people they haven't been through a process that allowed them to develop healthy psychologically, nor socially. It requires you to be mature socially and psychologically and spiritually to deal with something as delicate as a black woman. You have to have some other stuff going on inside you to deal with that delicacy, because that's what she is. And if you don't have that stuff, you're going to mismanage it and you're going to fracture something.
Absolutely. I feel the same way, Imhotep. We often hear the woman talk about the men taking care of the woman, and I think we have a responsibility to take care of our men as well. You know, and we don't talk enough about that. It's like, as black women, we're out there looking for someone to give us happiness, give us love. We're not cultivating these things within ourselves, and so we have a deficit. And anything that's done from a place of deficit is damaging, right? And so when we meet men, it's like, okay, what? And when we realize, well, this man is broken, we focus on that person's brokenness,
That's
not
right.
realizing we're broken ourselves. And we also are not being trained, we're not being raised as women in how to do that. And so we're losing good men too.
That's right.
We're chasing good men away too.
That's right.
You know? So-
We poison and we damage the relationship. We damage him where he leaves and goes to the next woman and perpetuate that hurt, that pain, that brokenness. You know what I'm saying? And he carry on that virus of Yorubu, you know, to that next person because of what, you know, the system that we in, the environment that we in. But the women, what I always recommend to women to do is affirm your mate. You know, I made it a habit years ago to affirm my king on a daily basis. You know, my Nasi Betty. So I affirm him and I affirm our children. You know what I'm saying? So every day I'm reminding him, like, you powerful, you great, I'm with you, I love you, you're doing a great job. Whether I verbally say this to him and look him in his eyes when we both wake up, I say this before he leave the house, or I text him and just say it out the blue. But we so busy attacking the man and saying what he's not, you know what I'm saying, and saying what he needs to do, we forget to remind him of all of the great things he is doing and the great things he do possess that made us interested in him in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So we got to remind him of that. So even if it is things he need to work on, he needs to mature, he needs to be more of a man. You know, he got boyish ways. You know, we got to still acknowledge the greatness within him. Because if you constantly bringing somebody down and saying all of the bad things, that person going to just believe that that's all they is. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why am I with you in the first place? I don't think we need to be together no more. Clearly, I'm not good enough for you. You know, so you got to remind them of the beauty within.
And I hear great stuff from both of you guys. Thank you. I hear a lot, and I'm online a lot. And I'm hearing a lot. It's a lot of gender warring going on. Black men this, black women that. Y'all need to do this. Y'all need to do that. Stop da. What is your take on that? How damaging is that to building strong bonds and relationships between us?
It's extremely damaging, and unfortunately, it occurs for the same reason that most of relationships fail. We're just not prepared to be in relationships, and we're not understanding and how we are and should relate to one another. That's what it comes down to.
I can take care of it. I can take care of it.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Al.
Do you see what I see as far as what I'm speaking of? Because I know you do a lot of countering those attacks. You know, when I see what you're posting things, it's always on the upbeat and, you know, and encouraging and you know. So, do you do that deliberately?
Okay. I do feel like it's way too much of that out there, not just in social media world. Because social media is a whole other world. People can be who they want to be, you know, but also in the real world, you know, it's just too much of what we're not in verbal attacks and so forth. And it's just, that goes back to the man and that woman in a relationship. You know, if you constantly bringing out what he's not and what he should be doing and never compliment him in a good way and affirm him and say all of the beauty that you see, you know, that's going to bring his spirit down. And I think, again, as a gender, you know, as a group of women talking about a group of men or vice versa, we are going to make the black men be like, you know, I'm tired of black women. You know, I'm going to go to the Europeans because they more submissive, they more quiet, they more this, they more this, they less this, and vice versa. You know, the black women are starting to go to the same gender. You know, they going to a different race, you know, because they tired of what the black man is doing or not doing.
Yeah.
You know, so I just think we need to highlight the beauty that's out there. And that's not to forget or pretend as if the ugliness don't exist.
Right.
But it's too much energy going to it.
I agree with that. And I have a theory that I think that when a man bashes a woman and the women bash the men, it never is better than if it's coming from the same gender. Like you can say, you know, we can chastise our sisters and it come across to them a little different than if a man does it. I think personally.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. If you're watching after, the Empower Our Life, something is going on with the connection.
Yeah, we'll get you guys back up on the YouTube station. Children, you mentioned children. You have two lovely children together, and they both are brilliant. So how do you raise brilliant, very intelligent, articulate children, and still hold the fort down as well between you two? That seems like, a lot.
It is. It's a lot. But we immerse them in the culture. So they at our events, they at our lectures, they at these things and they hear what's taking place. Even if we think the children not paying attention, they are soaking up everything that's taking place. Even these babies that's over there, they hear everything. So we bring them into those types of environments, and we're very deliberate about who we bring in our house and who we allow to be around our children and who we allow to watch our children. So we are very hands-on with everything that they listen to, that they watch, that they do, and who they interact with. So that's all going to play a part in their development. All of that, So we know that first institution is family. So we do our part within the house. We got a routine in the house to stay on top of their studies. He do what he do with the oldest one, and then I have my own lesson plan that I do with them. So we both take on some subjects and rear the oldest one. And then some things overlap, as far as moral development and behavior and all of that. We both are reinforcing that, with our children.
Oh, I want to add too. And I think, in my opinion anyway, what I truly believe helped in addition to all that we do, we never purchased toys for our children.
Oh no?
No, we had never been inside a toy store buying toys for either one of those boys. We never purchased toys. We never purchased those things that I define as being a distraction. I don't think those things truly help. They come too assembled already. It doesn't require any brain or none of that stuff, right? And I just felt like it wasn't good. So,
and let me just clarify some things, because it depends on how you define toys. We purchased like dinosaurs and what else in Yami had? And Yami had cars that my sister had got for him, but they played with toys.
Okay.
So it's not like they never played with toys, or they don't play with them now. They played with toys, but we ain't put a lot of emphasis on it, and we was very particular about what it is we was going to purchase. But most of what our children play with, they make themselves. You can't come in a house with a pen with a top on it. My children, they're going to take your top. They're going to create something. As soon as they see the empty toilet paper roll or the paper towel roll, they taking it. They got a telescope. They creating stuff. Okay. And that's not me enforcing that on them. That's just using their creativity, because they children is like, I'm going to play with them and make something. So they make stuff around the house. Which is a blessing and a curse, because I'm picking up toilet paper and pieces of paper all around my house. So you come into my house, it might look like a trash, trash bin at times, but that's their toys. And I got to tell people, like, that's my children's toys. Come get your toys. Come pick this up.
But that's how a child is supposed to be reared, though. See, a child is supposed to be reared in a safe and secure environment where they can explore. That's what brings out the genius and the creativity of a child. It's not supposed to be restricted. All right, they got a bunch of glass and things like that, where you got to keep on telling the child, don't go here, don't go there. That stifles development. That stifles development. The child is supposed to be in an environment that's safe and secure, wherein he or she can explore it. And from that exploration and creativity and imagination, the brain power develops. This is what it's supposed to be about.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Have either one of you ever got to a point where you just felt like throwing in the towel? What made you stay?
My love for him and the fact that I didn't want to quit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a quitter. He's not a quitter. That's what I love about his spirit. One of the things I love about his spirit. But we both really wanted to work through it. So usually when I got in my little place where I'm like, you know what, I'm done. You got all this to say. You don't need to be with me then. So he would be the one to come back and be like, you know what, we need to work through this, and vice versa. When he told me he was done, I'm like, I think he's serious. Let me go talk to him. So we both was in our places, but what was fortunate about that situation was we wasn't in that place at the same time. The other person be that strong person and talk that person through it and be like, you know what is it that you want from me again? I'm gonna work on that. Starting tomorrow, I'm gonna start calling you more. You saying I need to call you more when I'm out the house? You don't see me from him, he had worked 2 jobs. You know, he was working 2 jobs for how many years? About 2 years, 3 years? 4 years, 2 jobs. You know, 2 full-time jobs and doing PLM full-time and everything else that he was doing. I'm like, you out the house from early in the morning, I see you late at night. You know, like, check in throughout the day. You know, so when I had these conversations and I really got to the point where it was like, you know what, I'm done. Not necessarily over that, but I'm using it as an example. He would come back to me and he'd be like, you know, we'll work on that. You know, I would get better in that area. And he respected my feelings in that moment. Yeah.
That's beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff. If you guys are just joining us, this is the Empower Hour every Wednesday from 2 to 3 p.m. You can catch us right here on the eLife Studios Network discussing impactful topics of discussion. We're here with Imhotep and his lovely wife, Ife, and we're talking about strengthening our relationship bonds.
You were talking earlier, it sounds like there's like, I hear this a lot too with couples who've been together a while. It sounds like there are like phases to relationships. So you guys talked about in the beginning where you were clashing a whole lot, and then today, fast forward today, it sounds like you guys are in a completely different place. I know a lot of people would say, I know when I was married, they would say if you could get past 5 years, that 5 was always the lucky number for some reason. But I guess because there's phases to the relationship. Now, what phase would you guys say you guys are in right now?
I would no, because I would look at it like this rather than saying it as phases. I look at it like this. It's a natural process, right? Because what we need to understand is that we're taking 2 entities in an attempt to make 1 entity. And that's never easy. It's never easy to take 2 and turn it into 1. And that's what it's all about. Mama Ife, Bob Imhotep, now we're trying to create this union. So that's going to be a process. And that process consists of struggle. Because the struggle becomes the labor of love. So the love, that binding agent, that thing that secures the relationship, can only be produced through that struggle. Now, a lot of times we hear struggle, we cringe when we say, hey, when we say struggle, because the Europeans made us look at struggle bad, right? But there's no thing that have developed in creation that didn't come through struggle. There is no development without struggle. It's an impossibility. So we got to understand struggle as being what? A natural phenomenon within creation. So when you think about creation, you have to factor struggle into it, right? So the same for a marriage or a union. So you say you want to create a union, you got to think about the struggle. And you got to prepare for that struggle. Struggle isn't necessarily bad. It's how you relate to the struggle that makes it bad. If you embrace the struggle and understand the struggle, then you can move through it. And the more you move through the struggle, because the struggle never leaves, right? You come to understand it that much more. The understanding is actually the love. So love isn't what we define as being this emotion, how we call it. You know what I'm saying? Love is the ability to understand the nature of the relationship and your responsibilities and obligations to that relationship. That's what love is. It's a heightened degree of understanding. That's going to grow out of you spending time together. Struggling, you can come to know her. You're going to know when she's upset or when I'm upset, when I don't want to be bothered, when she don't want to be bothered. You have to learn those things through struggle. If you can endure the struggle, then you persist and you develop this beautiful thing that we call love, right? But the struggle never go away.
And I was going to add on to that. It never goes. So even though we 14 years in, we had a different level of struggle.
That's right.
You know, so we still got our struggles because he's still growing. You know what I'm saying? As a man, he's still developing and I'm still developing. So it's different things I'm learning about myself. He's learning about himself. We embracing those things and then we're bringing it to the union. You know, we bringing it to our relationship. So he got to relearn me in a sense and vice versa. So it's that struggle all over again.
Good stuff. Good stuff. How much of each other's presence in your lives contribute to who you are today, as far as your skills and your talents and your leadership qualities? I mean, could you be the man you are today if it not were for Ife and vice versa?
I would be somebody. But I would be somebody, but I wouldn't be who I am. Right? So the same way I think she would be someone, but she wouldn't be who she is. Like, because now we are us. Like I remember in the beginning stages, I wrote this poem called I Am You. You remember that poem? And that was in the beginning stages, and that's the process. I didn't bring mine, but that's what's on here. When we didn't use rings when we got married. We used bracelets. But it says, I am you. We are one. And that's that's what happens when you're trying to build the union, when you're trying to come together. You got to build something that's this, she and I, is different than me and her. See, it's I, it's her, then it's us, right? But the me and the I goes into building with this thing of us, and the thing that matters most at this stage is the us.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever dealt with like outside forces trying to disrupt what you guys have going on?
Good
Because
question.
you guys are both powerhouses, and I
Well-
can see that riling up some jealousy, some
yeah.
insecure folks somewhere. So I gotta ask.
It's a great question because we're two different. Boss, she and I, we deal with that kind of differently. For me,
I can see that.
that's how I deal with it.
Even though like she's no nonsense, like
No,
Bring it.
yeah.
I wish.
Yeah. So that's how they go.
What about you?
It was I say was, but it was totally different. You know, me is like, you know, why are you saying this? Why do you feel this way? I'm ready to confront you. I'm ready, if it goes there, it goes there. You know what I'm saying? But him is like, why are you even giving that any energy? You know, and that was something I had to learn. You know, keep in mind he's 10 years older. He already been doing his self-work longer than I was doing my self-work. I was on my journey of self-discovery and working on myself 1 year prior to meeting him.
Okay.
He was doing it, what, like 15 years or something? It was a long time. So I still had to get to that point where it was like, you know what, let me ignore them. You know what I'm saying? Because this is petty. And the longer you give energy and attention to that pettiness, that stuff that's below you, it's going to hold you down. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to prevent you from ascending and becoming your greatest self.
Yeah.
Living your best life. You know what I'm saying? So you can't let that stuff bother you.
Wow.
I just,
Go
real
ahead.
quick, I wanted to address something he said or add on and bring clarity. He said we got the bracelets when we got married. And you was invited to that, the 10-year anniversary, which was also our union consolidation. So that was 10 years in. But we consider ourselves married from the day we met. That's why we say 14 years.
Oh,
you know what I'm
okay.
saying? So, and that was his thinking. Because I was more like, no, we met on this day. We said we was going to be together this day. You know, and we was intimate on this day. So these are the dates. You know?
You are such a woman. Oh my God.
And then him, he was like, no, I knew I wanted you from the moment I met you. You know what I'm saying? And you felt something the moment you met me. We felt that energy and we wanted each other. So that's our date.
Yeah.
You know, so I capitulated probably 2-3 months after going back and forth about that date.
Yeah.
It's interesting because in the African community, in some of the African communities, even if you're not married, they look at how you roll with each other and they will label you husband and wife. Like, you don't have to have a ring. They don't care about that.
That's right.
If you're by yourself, they say, where's your wife?
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes as women, we could, well,
Yes.
Technically.
that's not my husband.
Yeah.
And I've learned because I was my ex-husband is Ugandan. And I had to learn that, you know, even though we were married, I would see them do it with everyone else. And I had to learn, like, no, that's just them.
Culture.
Especially if they're seeing you building a family together,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like, yeah, husband and wife. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I love that you guys are so not Europeanized in those types of traditions because, you know, it gives other people like myself the look at it and be like, oh, okay, that's different, but I like it that different. I like that way. Yeah.
What do you say to people who may have been jaded by maybe they had a bad experience, maybe they were married before or in a bad relationship before? Because I find that in a lot of African American communities, where you'll hear people say, you know, married is for the birds, you know, like we don't have to be married. It's a piece of paper, you know, but you just talked about the importance of wifing, you know, making women.
For one, marriage builds character. Commitment builds character. And the reason why most of us fall out of commitment, because actually commitment is a spiritual principle. It's not easy to remain committed to anything. That requires a great deal of will on your part. And so I think that when we are going into a process to be with another person for a long term, that's a level of commitment, and it builds character going through that process. And further for us, we have to be thinking in terms of power. And you can't build power if you're just sleeping around. And I know a lot of times people want to, you know, just think that's okay to do that. You know, I'm just,
Casual.
no, we can't build that way. You know what I'm saying? We build power when we are being very intentional and purposeful in terms of building power. You know, so our focus, our energy had to be in one thing. Like I couldn't be no good if my energy and focus was all over the place. Or if she was being all over the place, you know what I'm saying? And we lines and being conniving with each other, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. You can't build that way. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I wanted to get into the thing when you say keeping the relationships strong and strengthening, being self-corrective and vulnerable. So you can't be vulnerable if you all over the place because you got sides that you want to hide. Right? So you have to be vulnerable to make this thing work. And so a lot of people don't want to do that, and that's the reason why they think it doesn't work. You know, because they don't want to be themselves. They want to live according to someone else's definition of what it means to be yourself. You know, we have to go into these African relationships with the mindset that we are going to replicate in this particular land, because most of us are in the USA, we're going to replicate something similar to what our ancestors produced way back when. And they produced healthy situations that allowed them to build healthy families. And that's what we have to do.
Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. You mentioned, Ife, holding your tongue. You had to learn to do that. How did you do that? How did you go through that process of retraining your tongue in the relationship for the better?
I just learned that everything didn't have to be addressed. You know, every time he say something, I didn't have to have a rebuttal. You know what I'm saying? I can just sit. I can listen. Even if I disagree, just listen and say, oh, okay, you know, you want to finish watching this movie? You know what I'm saying? Or you ready to go? And again, that comes from me watching him, you know, because I learned, it was so many times I thought he agreed, like, oh, he get me, you know, he agree, he on my side. And like, just 2 days later, he'll come out of nowhere, we'll be watching a movie, he'll hit pause. So, you know, and then turn around and bring the conversation back up. And I'm looking like, what? I thought we was good. Yeah. And then I learned he had me in a good place. I wasn't hyped up no more. I wasn't coming on so strong. I had my guards down. I was chill, you know, and he brought the conversation back up to me and let me know how he felt and where I was wrong if he felt the need to say that. You know what I'm saying? And hold me accountable if he felt the need to do that. And then we'll move on from there. And I'll be thinking like, you know, if I want to watch a movie with you now, he ready to hit play again.
Right.
I'll be back. You know? No. But I learned that. So I learned like, okay, you know what, Ife? Don't do it. It's going to be an argument. Let it go. And then I also learned that him and I both are very fiery. You know what I'm saying? We can get real fiery and we don't mean no harm. It's like we get real passionate about what we're talking about and what we're feeling. So I had to learn when he was being passionate or when he was being what I felt like out of line. You know what I'm saying? And then I would just have to let him have that moment. Like, you know what, he don't mean any harm. You know? And if I felt like he was, even if he meant no harm, was getting too loud, too strong, and I'd be like, you know, you gotta bring it down a few notches. Just bring it down. You know, because even though I know you're just making a point, you know, it's just you go to 10. I go to 100, you know, so let's not bring it down. And he'll be like, okay, you know, yeah, so like I was saying, you know, so he'll bring his voice down. So I just learned that.
How important is eldership in us strengthening and maintaining our relationship? Meaning, like people that you can go to for counsel, you know, people who are older, who've been in this way longer. How important is that? And did you guys have that in your relationship?
It's extremely important. That is the African way. That's a part of our culture. The go to the elders, the go to what in this society we would call a mentor, but a jegna, a sabat, you know, a saber. To go to them and get some instructions and some guidance, you know, and they listen to your problems and help you through your problems, and then give you some scenarios in their situations. That's extremely important. We really didn't have that. We talked to a few people early on in our relationship. Another couple, like once or twice, you know, and then after that we was on our own. We was learning on our own, you know, so we counsel a lot of couples now, you know, so, and when I'm learning about the African culture, particularly in Western Africa, the Dagara people, they had a lot of mentorships, so you can be the same age, you know, as your Jegna or Sabat, and you can add on or correct me if I'm wrong, you know, but ideally much older, you know what I'm saying, but you could be the same age. If you're more experienced in that area, then you grab that person up and you help them through that. So when we see the younger couples or couples that are our peers that's having troubles in their relationship, it's like, we need a council, y'all, or we need to meet with y'all. We need a meeting. And then they're like, I don't need no meeting, we good. Y'all not good. You know, you was about to put him out just last night. Like, y'all not good. No, we good now. No, we need to talk. So that problem don't arise again, and you don't get back to that point. Whatever that was that made you say, get the F out, you know what I'm saying? We need to talk about that.
Yeah.
And then a lot of times after we had one meeting, maybe 2 meetings with couples, they don't want no more meetings. We good now. No. Let's continue to work through that. And then we will let you know when you are good, and then y'all don't have to have any counseling anymore. But that's really important.
Yes, in terms of the elder piece, I don't think anyone, like in my black book I talk about, I think that any endeavor in life that you go into, you should go into that endeavor with, under the guidance of someone who has more experience in that particular field. I don't care what it is, right? That's just our way. So even if it's this thing we call building a union, a relationship, I think that we should go into that not blind. We should go into it with some guidance. If that guidance so happen to be elders, then cool. You're great if you have that. If that guidance is just someone that's maybe your same age as you, but they have been successful and doing it for a very long time, then you should humble yourself to those individuals and allow them to provide you with the guidance so you can be successful. Because it's not about your ego. It's about success. We can't keep starting over as a people. You can't keep starting over. You can't think that's okay to keep jumping in and out relationships. You see what I'm saying? I know some females that be in 2-3 relationships in 1 year. You know what I'm saying? You think that's cool? That's not cool. That's insanity. That's insanity. That's a practice of insanity. Because at some point you got to stop and ask yourself, how is it and why is it I'm in 4 relationships in 1 year? You know what I'm saying? Why are 4 different men, you know what I'm saying, in my bedroom in 1 year?
Around my children.
Around, you know what I'm saying? So when we think that stuff is cool, that stuff is not cool. And even for the brothers think it's cool. It's a notch on this belt, you know what I'm saying? Well, I've been with 6 women this year. That's not cool. That's nasty.
Yes.
That's nasty. Yes. And until we, black people, African people, until we call out this behavior, you know what I'm saying? Our people continue to perpetuate it. Women have to call it out and let women know that's not cool, you're doing that. And brothers have to let brothers know that's not cool, you're doing that. Don't come here and don't talk that crap to me. I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? You defiling our nation. You know what I'm saying? You going from woman to woman to woman to woman. You think that's cool? You destroying us. You're playing a part in our destruction. And men have to call that stuff out. Until men and women, African men and African women, those of us that's striving to be right, until we collectively call out the ills and the wrongs that's being perpetrated by us, we're not going to make a progress.
I agree with that because I want you to touch on those who out there that are quick to say, I don't want other people in my business, in my relationship. This is between me and my man. See, ABC your way out of it. Keep people out of your relationships.
Well, that's, that comes from us not knowing our way. And so by us not knowing our way, we think that no one should be involved in the situation. But for those of us who know the way, who want to know the way, it makes better sense that others be involved in your situation. Because I'll give you an example. If we blocked out people in our relationship, but let's say Ife and I, we blocked out the Barudis, you know what I'm saying? We blocked out the Nobles and Professor Smalls and everybody else. We didn't want nobody in our situation. But let's say we fell apart. It's going to send a ripple through the community, right? If we fell apart, it's going to ripple the community. So it makes better sense that everybody be involved, right? And we don't get that, you know what I'm saying? So you're in a situation with somebody, it makes better sense to have other people involved because when you fall apart, it's going to impact us anyway. So whether you want us in the beginning, we're going to get involved in the back end. Because now when you fall apart, you're going to make us, now we're in a position where we got to choose who we friends with and stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? So we're doing it backwards. We have to bring people in these situations to aid us through them so that they can be a success. That's what it's all about.
You got to be proactive. You know, a lot of times we want to react, so it's like, all right, now we thinking about breaking up, or he didn't put his hands on me, or she didn't did this, and it's like, why y'all didn't bring us in the beginning when you seen signs of certain things so we can counsel you through it. Now you want us to come into this toxic, type of environment and help you through this.
Sometimes it's too late.
By then. It's too late. It's like,
because it's like you said, the two of them are actually in the same place at the same time. They both of them want out.
That's right.
That's too late by that time. You got to catch it way before that. But one question someone asked: how do you deal with challenges when sharing your mate with the community?
Sharing? What you mean? In what context?
You guys are community
activists. You gotta be clear about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to my 9mm. No, that comes back to maturity.
Yes.
I have to be mature. She has to be mature, and we have to have a level of trust with each other,
Yeah.
and knowing that we can share one the other with the community and doing the work. But at the same time, like she said earlier, we each still have to be mindful of what we have.
Absolutely.
You know, we can't share ourselves to the degree that we neglect us.
Absolutely.
So there has to be a balance. And I think that's where your partner come in at, because the partner helps you maintain that balance for the most part.
That's good stuff. I only had 2 other questions. One of them was, where am I? Oh goodness, I lost. Oh, you guys, I noticed, go out of your way not to use profane language, which I think is great, because I do too. But why? Why is that so important for those out there who may be sailors? And like, what's the harm? Why is that important for you guys?
But that was a decision I made prior to meeting him, and he made that decision as well. I just felt like it looked bad on me. I felt like I can use other words to get my point across. I don't necessarily have to use the profanity. And I just think as a lady or as a gentleman, you know what I'm saying, as a man, we need to be carrying ourselves as such. And that goes to how we speak, what we wear, how we behave. All of that encompass you know, that myotic look, you know, so you can't just say, oh, I'm myot and talking down and using profanity and using nigger, you know what I'm saying, referring to, and I know we can have some niggerish type of behavior, you know, that Negro mindset, but to actually refer to black men as niggas and black women as bees, you know, says a lot, you know, about where that person mindset is, in my opinion.
That's used a lot. I hear that used a lot in relationships, the N-word.
And plus, what people don't recognize or realize, speech is a part of your character.
Yeah.
Good teacher.
Speech is a part of your character. You can't separate speech from character. So if you want to have upright character, you got to have good speech, because your character is an extension of your personality. It's your character is who you are at the core, and at the core that's the place where we link up with the ancestors in the spiritual realm. So if your speech is off, then there's blockage, and there's blockage inside of you. You can't connect spiritually. So that's one of the reasons why I strive not to use profane language and things of the nature, because it serves no purpose. It has no place when I'm talking to another African person. If I'm trying to build with you as a woman, why would I use profanity talking to you? Why would I use profanity talking to my brother or my children? We have to be able to rise above that, and until we view ourselves differently, our speech won't change. But we need to know that our speech is a part of our character.
Did you have any other questions?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you had one more.
One question for both of you, but I'll start with Ife first. What is your favorite thing about Imhotep?
What I always tell you.
You tell me 1,000 things.
What I say I love about you. What?
Let's see. Let me see. Let me start hit this on the head. See if we've been together long enough. Let me start hit this on the head. I think she said, what's the question again?
What is your favorite thing about Imhotep?
I think it's my intelligence.
Maria?
I love the way his mind works. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I think it is.
All.
Don't ask that question, nigga.
Of course I'm going to have to ask that question of you. Of course.
Don't make me say it.
Don't ask that question to me.
Which, just to add on, which is an extension of his spirit. You know what I'm saying? He got a very strong spirit, and his spirit, his thinking is going to emanate from that spirit. You know, and he got a, you know, he's very in tune with our culture and our ancestors in our way. So that manifests in his thinking, which comes out in his speaking, which comes out in his behavior. But I always been like, I love your mind. I love the way you think.
Beautifully said. Love it. Of course, I'm coming to you.
What's the question
next.
again?
What is your favorite thing about Ife?
So that's diplomacy, right? What's the question again?
Right.
I need a couple more seconds.
Right.
It's diplomacy. Still some more seconds. Let me see. What's the favorite thing I like about Mama Ife? I'm gonna tell what I like about Mama Ife. To be honest, there are a lot of things, but one of the things that she was trying to do early on, she had a cousin, and her and her cousin was trying to build this nonprofit organization, and it was called AIDS. It was an acronym. I forget what each letter stood for. But just watching them, because I was there with them, talking to them, was watching and listening, and it was that initial passion that I saw there about her wanting to help. And then when we got in a relationship, when we used to have our little nighttime conversations, sometimes I could be critical of some of the females. And I'd be saying, man, this, that, that. She always defending them. I mean, like our entire relationship, she defended women, right? But she get most help from the sisters though. If they only could be a fly on the bedroom wall when I'm going off, you know, in that bedroom at night, I'm flipping, going off. The #1 defender. And I always appreciated that when she took a stand with you or for something, you had her.
Loyalty.
Yeah.
Loyal.
You had her.
Ashe. Well, that's it for me. That I know we went completely over time, but this was an excellent conversation. Excellent, and we hope that you will come back.
Yes.
Sometime again in the near future to share more, because you guys have a wealth of wisdom and value that you can add, you know, give to the community that can help us. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank y'all for having us. I enjoyed it.
To y'all both, you know, and I say Dewey to Nutter for this opportunity, for the breath that's flowing through my body, the energy that I feel from my mate and from y'all too. You know what I'm saying? And do you remember what I was saying to you on the ride here about what was going to happen in the show, how I thought it was going to go?
No.
No.
I did not.
You don't
Refresh my memory, because I'm not going to tell no lie.
You was like, this guy. You was like, they gonna ask questions, and I feel like they was gonna ask it to the both of us. And what I said?
No, you said I feel like. Oh yeah, you said I feel like they're gonna start with me first. I'm the new one. You said I'm the better one.
The veteran.
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
That's so intellectual.
Intuition.
So intellectual. Oh, before you go, WURUS, WURUS, which is a movement in and of itself, which I am proud to be part of. So tell us a little bit about the movement.
Yeah, so I look at that camera?
Yes.
Okay, so WURUS, Wake Up and Rise Up Sisters. It emanated from a lecture that I did, you know, way back in like 2013. And then from there, I did a book. I created a book, Wake Up and Rise Up Sisters, The Voice of a Black Woman. And it just kept growing from there. I was doing workshops already with women that was attending our African Awareness and Critical Thinking Study class. And I created those workshops under WURUS. So we have our healing sessions, and then we have our annual conference, and then from there we started doing conference calls. Sister Nzinga runs the conference calls.
Excellent.
She was already doing a conference call called Inspirational Space, and then she came to me with the idea, was like, well, you know, since I'm a part of WURUS movement, and I want to start the conference calls back up, what you think about it being a WURUS conference call? Well, she asked me about it, and then she wanted to bring men in. You know, she was like, maybe I could do it under men. No. Let's focus on women. You know, men do need their healing, and I don't want us to forget about the men, but let the men handle a lot of the men issues.
Agreed.
Let us focus on the women, and let's do conference calls for just women. So we can stay connected with those that come to our annual conferences and those that come to the monthly workshops. And then there's so much more we do. You know, sitting at the feet of the elders. I do WURUS trips, where we go to Atlanta, we go to Philly, we go to different places, different states, and then spend time with these elders, Mississippi, and help these mamas or babas, but primarily mamas. When we take a trip, we sit with mamas, and we help them. So it's African women coming into her rightful self and taking an audacious stand to say, I'm black and I'm proud, I'm African and I'm proud, and learning about herself and her culture so she can be her best self for her mate, for her children, for her community, and establishing that balance so we can nurture all of the above, because that's a part of our culture. That's our role as black women.
And thank you for that. And I like to see the fact that you, although you're a leader, I watch and how you allow others to shine. You allow others, you know, you'll take that step to the side and allow somebody else to shine. So, and I admire that about you.
Thank you.
What do you have there, Imhotep?
My book, African Manhood, 21st Century. I think every man should read it. It's a basic little protocol that I put together that I think speaks to the critical issues that most of us men are dealing with. And I think some of those critical issues are just knowing what it means to be a man. Like in this particular context, I think our definition of manhood should be something that derives from an African base. So that's what I just put down in this book right here.
Right, and you have 3 books
Just,
currently.
Yeah, this is the 4th one actually.
Oh, okay.
The 3 prior books is my urban philosophy books, urban philosophy, thought and behavior systems, urban philosophy, politics and urban struggle, and urban philosophy, New Age, African Revolutionary Vanguard.
And where can they get all of your books?
They can purchase all my books. Just inbox me on Facebook. Inbox me at Imhotep Fatiu on Facebook.
And what about your book, Ife?
Inbox me on
Okay.
Facebook, or you can message me on Instagram, Ife Fatiu.
Yeah.
And just to add, we got a conference coming up, a Rivers conference, which is June the 29th. And registration is $50, and that's for women and teen girls.
Yeah.
Black women, black girls.
I was there last year, and
13 is too young.
13 on up.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, got it.
it's definitely life-changing information. It's very transformative. I was there. I mean, great stuff. So I'm looking forward to this year.
Thank you.
All right, family. Again, that's our Empower Hour. And until next week, take care of each other out there. Peace.
Peace.